Channeling is one of those things that can sound a little out there at first, until you start to notice how often something like it shows up in everyday life. A sudden insight, a clear inner knowing, or a moment where the words and ideas feel like they're moving through you rather than something you're trying to figure out. Today we're exploring what channeling actually is, the different ways it can show up, and how to approach it in a way that's grounded, intentional, and rooted in your own awareness. And as always, we're asking the question, are you psychic too? Hey, star people. Today we're diving into channeling, what it actually is, how people experience it, and how to approach it in a grounded, healthy way. Whether you think of it as intuition, inspiration, or something more spiritual, most people have experienced some form of this. Channeling is more normal than most people realize. I'm your host, Cliff, a sound healer and channel, and I couldn't do this without my two co-hosts, Jenni and Kelsey. Ladies, introduce yourselves.
I'm Jenni. I'm a depth psychoanalyst, dream interpreter, psychic medium, and channel.
And I'm Kelsey, an intuitive psychic, energetic ninja, and a spiritual mentor.
All righty. So what is channeling? Well, let's start with just an accessible definition. Channeling is when ideas, words, or insights seem to come to you fully formed, instead of being something that you have to figure out step by step. You're basically receiving information beyond the conscious analytical mind, something that you don't need to overthink. It can feel like a strong intuitive knowing. It can show up as words or images spontaneously, or it can even show up as a download. It's often very subtle and something that can happen without us even being aware of it happening. So you guys, when you hear the word channeling, what's your gut reaction?
I believe that channeling is the process of receiving information that is not of the conscious mind, but rather coming from an unseen place. It's allowing it to move through form, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think channeling is your ability to tap in intuitively through one of the clairs, like clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient, claircognizant. Jenni, am I missing anything?
The smelling one.
What is that one?
That I never remember.
Clairaudorous?
Yeah, no, I never remember it.
But it's tapping into your intuition using one of the clairs, and there's several different types, and it's being able to kind of tune out the outside noise to listen to the internal guidance that you're getting.
Maybe you guys could share a channeling experience that you've had, and I know you've had lots of them, but maybe one that stands out for you.
I believe that channeling is not about something that's like taking over you, which I think that people have that fear that it's about that, that it's something in their body and they don't want any, weird voice or anything like that. It's more about getting out of your own way enough to receive what's already there. Tapping into your own higher self-consciousness, maybe. But the source of it is something that people get spooked out about, which is probably why witches and seers were always punished, because they're like, that's the devil. How could they know that? Or how could that be coming to them? Or why did their voice sound that way? That's a demon. So I think it's important to clarify that there's multiple sources of channeled information. Don't you guys think that?
Yeah, well, I think it's the unknown. So like anything that you're doing that you can't study or experiment on, like how do you know it's true? And I think that's what scares everybody. But it's a very like innate, natural gift that we all have to tap into our inner knowing, to our inner guidance, our higher self guides.
Moving out of the linear mind.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can completely see how in the days of yore, somebody predicting something psychically and having it come true, anything unknown is fear. It still is, but then it would just be even greater. I mean, there's definitely more awareness about channeling now than there was a few hundred years ago. I don't see a lot of people getting burned at the stake for
right.
Not so
good. Not in this life. No.
Not so much anymore anyway. Okay, let's talk about the different ways that people can channel. There's intuitive channeling. That's where you have gut feelings, an inner knowing. Then there's emotional energetic channeling. That's where you're picking up on other people's emotions or other energy fields around you. Then there's creative channeling, which I think a lot of people experience, which is writing, music, artwork, gardening, basically expressing your joy. Then there's verbal channeling, speaking thoughts as they arise without filtering them. Automatic writing, another form of channeling, which is a form that I use. It's basically just writing and letting your hand, finish the sentence. Then we get into the slightly more rare versions of channeling, trance channeling. That's where a person basically steps aside and lets another entity come in and do the talking for them. I'm sure you've all heard of Bashar, or what's another good one, Jenny?
There's many. Wendy.
Seth.
Yeah, Seth is the original OG.
Yeah, he's OG. And then, of course, there is, which I'm going to ask you about, Jenny, mediumship channeling. Maybe you could explain that to the audience.
The way that I would best try to explain it is that mediumship is tapping into communication with a specific soul, a loved one that's passed over. And so it's more of a one-on-one conversation or interpersonal rather than getting it, let's say from the collective unconscious, where it's a whole metanoia. I like to say like a net of all this information that can be pulled down from anyone that's willing to sit quiet and listen.
Did you call it a metanoia?
Yeah.
I don't know what that word means. What does that word mean?
It means the mind of God.
Oh, I like that. Metanoia.
You know how other people, they get ideas at the same time, they have inventions at the same time. It's almost like they both tapped in to that knowledge at the same time. Oh, sort of
like the 100 monkey theory? You know that theory where
yes,
they
it is that because all the monkeys at the same time knew. Yes, that's exactly a good example of that.
Even though they were all on different islands and had no way of communicating with each other, they still all knew, hey, time to wash your fruit.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Well, one important thing to remember that the most people operate on the first three types of channelings that I said: the intuitive channeling, the emotional energetic channeling, and creative channeling. And I think I was creative channeling long before I knew I was channeling. And I'm pretty sure you guys were the same. But what feels the most familiar or relatable to you guys in terms of channeling techniques?
I think for me, it's the intuitive channeling. Like I just get gut feelings and inner knowings. And I think when it first arose, I didn't even know that's what I was doing. And I think I look back now and I just laugh at myself because in some parts of me, I was like, wow, I'm so smart, or like I figured this out and I got it. And then most times it would happen like in the car when I'm driving, where I would solve like these big problems that I have, like personal problems, relationship, career, whatever. And by the end of the drive, I'm like, okay, I got it. I know what I'm going to do. As soon as I stepped out of the car, I like completely forgot everything. And so when I really started to get into channeling, then I realized like, oh, I was channeling during that time. That wasn't even me.
People channel all the time and they just don't call it channeling. Athletes call it the zone. Writers and artists like you, Cliff, being an artist, they call it getting into the creative flow, or I don't know how it got there. It just all of a sudden was there on the paper or on the board. And, other people are wowed by it because it does come from a higher place. It's not in the analytical brain.
So would you say that creativity is a form of channeling then?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
me too.
Out in the world.
Now, where do you guys draw the line between intuition and imagination?
I think they're the same. They're the same language. And it doesn't matter, whatever you create in your imagination is a form of channeling where your guides are picking up the messages that you want them to see. It's kind of like offering them up to the universe. This is what I want to create. This is what I want. I just think that most people don't know that it goes both ways. You can send messages and you can pick up messages that way too.
Yeah, they definitely share the same space.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think just like dreaming, how people will say, oh, I don't dream. It's like everybody dreams. Mm-hmm. I think everybody channels as well. And they just don't realize that what they're doing is channeling necessarily.
And you don't have to prove the source to validate the experience. You don't have to prove that, Darryl Anka doesn't have to prove Bashar is an actual being because the material that is coming through rings true and resonates with people.
Yeah, exactly. If the information coming through is relevant, then it's relevant. Yeah.
And Kelsey does trance channeling.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just tapping into some little trance channeling. It's definitely a lot harder. It's a different focus and a different space of like channeling energy.
Now, when you trance channel, Kels, do you always trance channel the same entity, or is it different entities?
When I first started, it was different, and now I think it's the same. It's always going to be my higher self that I'm trance channeling. And it's, at first I was kind of like, what the heck? Like, where's the other cool beings that I was meeting and getting to trans channel? And she was just like, I'm just this cool. Like, what's wrong with me? She's like, don't worry, little one. I got you under my wing.
She's also not as tiring for your body.
Yeah, that's true. Because it was harder.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've heard from trance channels, that it is tiring.
Yes.
Yeah. I think a lot of people talk about the emotional channeling, like energetic, emotional picking up. Like, I think that's really common. A lot of people talk about that.
Claire empathy.
Another Claire.
Empathy versus, there was something else, right?
Clairsentience.
Oh, they call it empathic, right?
Yeah. That's the same thing as empathy. Empath.
Yeah. Empath, empathy, empathetic. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the role of grounding when it comes to channeling. I say channeling without grounding equals distortion. I think that you need to be present in your body. You need to be connected to physical reality in a stable, calm, sort of nervous system state. And I think that's important because it prevents you from being overwhelmed by what you're channeling. And it helps you discern what's real versus what's your own projection. And it also helps keep ego from hijacking the message. So how do you guys feel about grounding and channeling?
I feel it's necessary. Absolutely. Because channeling takes focus, even though it happens oftentimes in doing a chore or an unfocused, unconscious realm. It does take focus when you are interpreting the messages. So I think that most messages that come through are true. I think as humans, we might misinterpret them, whether ego takes over and so it has to come from a pure place of emptiness where you don't have anything to gain by it.
Sounds like we're being invaded by aliens. Don't worry, folks.
We might be.
We're safe, folks. Maybe we're just not grounded. Could that be it?
Well, I think grounding is like the anchor. It anchors your energy so that you're not flying off into space when you're channeling, because it's all about being able to raise your vibration high enough to connect. And if you're not grounded, you're not anchored to anything. And so then you You can't release any energy. You can't. It's just, yeah, it's distortion.
It's like a live wire. There's a live wire that hops around and sparks instead of being plugged in.
When I first started to mess around with my crystal, what is it? The pendulum. Oh, my crystal pendulum. I was never grounding. And so, of course, I get information that I wanted to hear because it's my energy. It's just my energy that's being put in.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing else coming through. And so it didn't work.
So what are your go-to ways to come back to center, to come back to ground?
Everyone's got different grounding tools, I would think. I tend to picture a tree vine from my root chakra going down to the middle of earth so that I'm anchored to earth and using the magnetic power to meet the electrical power. That's kind of just what I envision. And then going up through the chakra system up to the sky. So it's like you're connected to sky and earth. That helps me. I think everyone grounds differently, maybe.
Oh, absolutely. I think everybody definitely grounds differently. Some people ground to earth. Some people ground to other planets. Some people ground to themselves. Kelsey, how about you?
Yeah, I think it's an intention. So I tell people, because often when I work with clients, they say, well, I just go out into nature, or I can't go out into nature because I live in a concrete jungle. But I think it's more about intention, about releasing energy that's not really serving you, that's keeping you from being centered. And so it's all about that focus of releasing negative energy and setting that really strong intention to stay rooted in your centeredness.
Attuned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think those are both great tips. It's all about intention. Like you say, you don't have to be able to go out and walk in a forest or even step on grass.
But people do get very centered being in nature because it's quiet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not saying that. I mean, nature is definitely the way to go. I'm a huge fan of earthing, as you know.
Yes.
But I think when Kelsey was talking about intention, and you were talking about intention as well, I think that's the biggest thing. And I'm getting shivers now as I'm saying this, but that seems like the most important aspect of it. If your intention is to ground yourself, then
I think nature is a natural stabilizer, and but not everybody has access to that.
Right.
And I think different places like forests will ground you differently than being by the water or at the beach. So they all serve a different purpose.
Yeah, it depends on the individual.
That's interesting, Kelsey. You said that different things would ground you differently. How would your ground be different?
Well, like going to the beach, it's a natural, so the ocean produces like negative ions, and that naturally just comes over and cleanses, right? And so it's clearing your mind, finding that peace and center without having to set the intention. It's just being more present. Or like going into the forest, I feel like it's more about like you're tapping into an ecosystem. Like it's a different kind of energy,
And in dreams, both of those scenes are different symbols. They have different meanings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm a big in big agreement with you on negative ions. They are very beneficial to the human body, and water in any form, whether you're staying in a shower or at the beach or a big truck is coming by and pushes a bunch of water on you as it drives by. That's negative ions, and that's very good, very healing for the body.
Yes, I love water.
That's why we shower at night.
Oh, that's why. I was wondering. Okay, well, let's.
Because we sweat all day. It's gross. No.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about channeling discernment and responsibility. So, first of all, we cannot emphasize enough that not everything that comes through is truth. And questioning is not a lack of spirituality. It is a part of spiritual maturity. If someone can't question what they receive, they are far more likely to become inflated, misled, or dependent on fantasy. So asking, is this actually true, or is this helpful, or is this coming from clarity or projection? It's a sign of wisdom, not failure. One of the most important things to understand about channeling is that receiving information does not automatically make that information pure, complete, or correct. Just because something feels powerful, emotional, vivid, or even otherworldly does not mean it is ultimate truth. Sometimes people pick up on something real, but interpret it through their own fears or their own desires, or their own wounds or beliefs or their ego. Sometimes the signal is clear, but the translation is messy. And sometimes people are just wrong. Spiritual wrapping paper does not magically turn every message into gold. So good channeling should empower you, not make you dependent or confused. How do you guys feel about that?
I feel if the channeled message is from source or higher self or a loved one, it is true for the intended audience, but often misconstrued or turned into a fear. It's almost as if the channel, the conduit, can retard it, if that makes sense. Due to their
What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm not sure.
well,
I understand.
if the message is true for the intended person, but the channel bends it according to whatever or why, I don't know, but then it's distorted. But the human makes the distortion, is kind of what I think. So in mediumship readings, I used to edit what was coming through because I thought, this can't be right. This can't be right. And I learned to not edit at all because it may be very right for that person and I just don't know what the heck it is. And that became so much easier for me. If I wanted to save their feelings and not say exactly what I was getting, it could have meant the opposite and it was a compliment. So that's how I feel what we can do to the message, even if it comes in total purity.
And I totally agree with you. I did the same thing in my early days of channeling, questioned everything and held back things because I thought, that's not right, or that doesn't make any sense, or this is not the question they asked. Or,
right.
And the trick to channeling is no filter. Just let it fly and let the chips fall where they may. But when you start filtering yourself, that's when your ego gets involved and
right. Agreed. It's not about becoming something special when you're a channel. It's about becoming quiet enough to hear what's already speaking. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's being quiet, the ego, all of it, your mind, all of it. And it doesn't make you more special. You already are. Everyone is.
So how do you personally decide what or who to trust when it comes to your channeling?
You mean as far as sources or as far as channels?
Both. Or either.
I believe Kelsey experiences a sensation sometimes where she says, "Oh, I don't like this. I don't like this." And it's a feeling energetically where it feels dense or something. And I believe we've discussed this.
Yeah.
Do you?
Well, I think the more you were talking about the more healing, right? The more healed you are, the clearer and the more pure the message becomes because we're not twisting the interpretation, right, that we're delivering to a client or somebody who's receiving the message. I think that is so true. I mean, nobody should be channeling until they've done some work on themselves or tried to clear out the filters and the conditioning, because that definitely, could you imagine trying to deliver a message to somebody that personally affects you and you taking it personal?
Right.
That's what happens, and so I think when I'm channeling some kind of energy, the first thing that I do is I always check in with my higher self. when I see something that I don't like, I'm very clairvoyant, so I can see a lot of energy and I can see what it looks like. And I usually go off of what I'm seeing. And that's how I know if I can trust or not trust.
Okay.
Yeah.
That clear.
Yeah. For me, it's more about the feeling. Like I can go into a room and just suss a room full of people and suss out which people I can talk to and which people I should avoid just by the feeling in my gut.
Right. I got a message this morning, as a matter of fact, and this soul that had passed said, my sister might be asking about this. You see the details. She doesn't need to hear them. And I thought, okay. So it starts to become, depending on the loved one or the energy that you're talking to, more clear as you get practiced with it. You'll get that message. And then I'll just say that, he doesn't want me to give you details about this, but just trust that you have enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes, it's really interesting when you're getting a question, and how do you know when not to share it with the client, right? How do you know when it's not appropriate? And that, I think, is it's really hard because technically I feel like every message that I'm getting should be for the client, but there's certain times where they really say they're not ready for that.
Right.
And instead of sharing, what they usually happens for me is they show me how they're going to respond if I say it. So then that's when I start to ask, can you show me how do I relay this message? What should I, I start going through my internal checks of how do I do this then?
And it goes quickly.
So, yeah, it happens. It's very instant. So that's the thing about the direct knowings. It's you can get an hour lecture of information downloaded within 5 seconds. It's that instant.
Yeah, clairvoyance helps that.
Clairvoyance and the claircognizance, is that
the knowing,
the direct knowing.
I call that one clair knowing.
Oh. That's good.
Yeah, that's mine. It's easier than trying to remember cognizance. Okay, so how would somebody begin safely? And I think you made a very important point, Kelsey, is that this is not the first step. You've got to do a lot of work on yourself before you step into channeling at all. But assuming that somebody has done some of this work and they're grounded, what are some of the basic steps? You'd want to quiet the mind, right?
Listen.
Come in with an intention, definitely. Listen. Notice what arises. Don't force anything. And then either write it down or speak it out, and then kind of review it after the fact and see what you got. I would think that it's a situation where you're not trying to rush anything. It comes naturally or it doesn't come.
Right. And a lot of meditators experience channeled messages or downloads, as they say, during meditation because they are quiet and able to receive.
Oh, and always begin grounded and end grounded. Grounding is very important in channeling. I don't know if I said that at the beginning.
Yeah, I think grounding, I would start off with the grounding. Because grounding is going to be a protection too. Yeah. If you pick up an entity or something that's not good, the way that you're going to get rid of it is through your grounding. So I would say healing, and then understanding your grounding and how to release negative energy, and then connecting. Connecting is finding your center, finding that state of peace and balance and neutrality so that there's no opinions or biases attached to any of the information coming through.
And to not believe that you're not able to do it, because we all channel. They just don't call it that.
So what was the hardest aspect of learning how to channel for you guys?
Trusting the information that you're getting. That's the hardest part. I think that's always the biggest leap, is to learn how to trust the information that you're receiving, and then saying whatever it is that you get. That was a big one.
Yeah, I think for me it was not caring about the outcome. Just when I stopped worrying about what I was hearing or seeing or feeling and just saying it instead of thinking like, they're not going to want to hear this. I think that pushed me ahead. Jenni, how about you?
I believe probably giving it space to grow, not dismissing it. Giving it space to grow, having a focus for it, a time for it, so that the energies that wanted to be expressed had a place to.
Yeah. Let's talk for a brief moment about channeling teachers, a subject we all know and hate. It's not the kind of thing that you can necessarily teach yourself, or it is, I guess, but all of us have met some less than stellar channeling teachers along the way. It's not the easiest thing to teach. And I have to kind of give a shout out to Kelsey, because you guys don't know, but she is an excellent channeling teacher. What were you pointing to? I didn't see what you were.
It's 11:11.
Oh, it's 11:11. Oh, okay, good. There you go. See, there's another synchronicity. That's a different episode, though. We'll come back to that. No, I think Kelsey is a fantastic channeling teacher, and I think if I can just blow some air up your skirt for a second, it's because you take each person as an individual, and channeling is like everybody's going to have a different way to get in. Everybody's going to have a different style, a different technique. And the teacher who's a great teacher is the one who takes each student as an individual, instead of just like, okay, this is how you do it, and here you do it this way. And then, and not everybody can do it that way. But Kelsey, cause I've taken classes from Kelsey, and she has I think this is the kind of thing where you have to be nurtured, because it's very individualized. And am I wrong about this, Kelsey?
No, it's like a very fragile gift, because you're working with people's, like, they're emotionally tied to it. They want to do it well. They have expectations. They're new. And anytime you start anything new, you're very like, oh, like, am I doing this right? You're constantly checking yourself. Your ego is involved, like all of the things. And I think like it's hard to get a student out of that, but also, yeah, everybody does it differently, and everybody has their own way and style, and it's going to look different. And so there isn't like a cookie cutter way of teaching people where it's the same for every single person. We're all beings that come from different places. Like, why would we do it the same? And so, yeah, I do have this gift where I can like really tune in to see how they tap in. And I do this by kind of entering their energetic field and feeling what they're feeling, sensing, looking with my clairaudient, or listening with my clairaudient, looking with my clairvoyance, and tapping into that energy. And then I get the blueprint. They're like, okay, this is how they do it. Boom, 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 boom. And normally, I mean, I would say most of the time, I don't know if I've had a student that said that didn't work. Maybe I did, but they didn't share it with me. I don't know. But most of the time it works for them, and it works really well.
How about you, Jenni? What's your experience with learning channeling been like? I know a little of it, but
I didn't find a teacher per se that helped. I suppose realizing that what I had been doing was channeling all along, and that base just expanded into what source I'm channeling from, or continued with psychic mediumship. Same as Kelsey, where you get into the energetic field, and I ask permission. So may I share your energetic field, because I don't want to be an invader. But it's a matter, I believe, that with loved ones that have passed, they want messages so badly to be received by their loved ones still here, that they find a way to get in, if that makes sense. And trusting that I'm receiving a message and not feeling crazy or that someone else will think I'm crazy has really helped me move forward, and knowing one day it'll be seen as not crazy to listen to your guides or loved ones past.
Well, one day soon, I say. And I think that you being a medium from a pretty early age was kind of a jump up into channeling, because it's channeling. So yeah, so you already had the connection and you already knew what it felt like. So it didn't matter that you had a few bad teachers along the way.
Okay. But I did. I wasn't. I didn't.
Moving on.
It was not different. I didn't know it was the same. Type thing.
I was just gonna say, you probably learned like, hey, I've been doing this entire time.
I did, and I was told by that teacher I had. So I don't know, but anyway, I think that the clairs kind of come in. They're just different modes of channeling as they. I had the bathtub story where that voice was really loud. I was in the bathtub at my ranch house and I heard this loud voice say, "Get out now." And I did not question it. I just got out, didn't get a towel. 60 seconds later, that room exploded and my whole house burned down. So I'd say maybe listen to those voices. Don't think they're crazy or you're out of here, So there's times like that where it really did save my life. That was purposeful.
Yeah, so I would say then, for people who are curious about channeling teachers, the channeling teacher you don't want to go to is the one who's got a blanket style that is built for everybody. But the one that you do want to go to is somebody who uses a bespoke approach to teaching channeling to their class of however many people.
And doesn't mind that you succeed.
That's how you learn.
Once you succeed.
Okay. All right. Okay. So that's kind of a quick overview on channeling. Just to recap, grounding and intention are essential. Channeling exists, like so many of us, on a spectrum. And most people already experience it in subtle ways, and more as we edge our way towards the 5D world that we're all hoping to live in someday soon. So any final thoughts, you guys?
I'd say not to ignore the small voice or the gut feeling or the clairvoyant vision. Ask it its purpose. Spend time with it. I think that's the best way to develop channeling skills. It's to start with self.
Yeah, starting with yourself. I just think don't be afraid to lean into it and get it wrong. That's okay.
Yes.
We misread things all the time. Like, how often do I misread someone else's expression? We're learning.
Yeah.
And you have to be okay with falling and messing up and not always being right and getting back up and trying again. It's the same with channeling.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think channeling is something that you are always learning. It's not like you become a virtuoso and you don't have to practice anymore. It's a ongoing thing for the rest of your life.
People can start with tools, tarot cards, pendulum, crystals, all of those things that help you get into the groove. That makes sense.
All right. Well, so I would say at its best, channeling is not about escaping reality. It's about engaging with it more clearly.
Definitely.
All right, folks. Thanks for being with us today. And please leave us your comments in the show notes. We read every one and we appreciate your input. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. So till then, trust the signal and question the noise.
And if you hear "Get Out Now," you better listen.